Hello, welcome to the Braveheart Show. Today we bring to you Colonel Pramodan Marathe. He is a very interesting man. You'll see through the interview his insights on the Indian war history, conventional war, the guerrilla warfare, the whatnot. Let him talk, let him introduce himself. As we move through the interview, you will see an amazing flow of the interview, which will keep you on your toes because it is going to be very inspiring, full of knowledge, and you will try our best to not leave any stone unturned, and you will be more educated by the end of this video. So stay tuned and watch the full interview. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We are very excited to have you to the show. The introduction I have gave, I think the audience will be very much excited to know you. But if I have missed anything, let us start with your introduction to the audience, sir.
Hello everyone. My name is Colonel Dr. Pramodan Marathe and I am a retired colonel having taken premature retirement in 1997. I did my PhD from University of Pune in 2015 at the age of 65. My three passions apart from army, which was the primary passion, after retirement the three passions that I pursued was human development, disaster management and geopolitics. I was a student of Wilson High School, Mumbai, and did my SSC in 1967 and then graduated from Hazaremon Somani College, Mumbai with BSc Chemistry Honours. And immediately after my graduation, I joined the Indian Military Academy in July 1971 and passed out in June 1973. I was commissioned into Regiment of Artillery and then I served there for 24 more years before I sought premature retirement. I am also an author and I have authored 4 books so far, 2 on disaster management, 1 on human development and 1 on Afghanistan, the geopolitics part. And I have been also conducting coaching for students who are aspiring to join the armed forces in officers cadre. I also conduct classes for management students and for soft skill development. Also spoken English. I am one of the directors of Intelkey Systems and Solutions Private Limited, which is into development of school and college students, the aspects that are other than academics, the fundamental skills and traits.
Okay, so that is a loaded introduction to a generation who thinks just doing graduation is a big task or something, but a retired man, okay, he is doing so much. So that is very inspiring for me, and I feel for the whole generation of my age.
Thank you.
And so straight, as you said, you passed your matriculation, 10th standard. I guess it was 11th standard in your time. So it was in 1967, and this reminds me of 1965 war. So you were quite matured by then.
Right, it was the 1962 war when I was in 5th, 6th standard, and in 1965 when the war had taken place, I was in 8th, 9th standard. And basically, my father was a bureaucrat. That time he was Deputy Secretary to Government of Maharashtra. And I used to harass him by asking him many questions on Second World War, all the conflicts and the political scene. And when 62 and 65 happened, that was the time when my discussion with my father led me to come to a conclusion that a country can develop itself only if the country is secure from external aggressions. And that was the first time when I thought that I should be joining the armed forces in officer's cadre. Of course, this thought became more pronounced as I passed my matriculation and entered the college.
Okay. So I feel about when we talk about 1965 war or any war before 1971, so today we don't have much knowledge about what happened right now. Only Kargil war is celebrated or 1971 war. Yes, there were epic battles and but we tend to forget that there were epic battles before. Like even today, if we go on internet and we check the toughest battles or something. So they were of there's a battle of Saragadi, which was one of the world's biggest battles. So and it is but as Indians we don't know about it or we have very less knowledge about it. So
In fact, if you look through the entire military history of India, right from the battle between Alexander and Porus, which people wrongly think that Porus was defeated. In fact, because of Porus' tactics, the vigor, the motivation of his soldiers, Alexander suffered tremendous amount of losses in manpower, and in fact that was the turning point where Alexander decided that if this is going to be the stiff resistance in India, it is very difficult for me to go ahead. And that was the time when he came down at the junction of Satluj Bias and he turned back and went back to his country. And thereafter, if you see the battles, there are a lot of battles, including the Second World War battles, where the Indian armed forces, part of British Indian Army, had fought in Burma. In fact, Field Marshal Manekshaw, he won his military cross in Burma. The way these people, after having been annihilated by the Japanese, the way they came back and fought and threw the Japanese out of Burma is commendable. And there are many such battles fought by Shivaji Maharaj, battles fought by Bajirao Peshwa. There are many to quote. In fact, there is a huge, I will say, material written on all these battles. So India has a military strategic thought process since ancient times. And as far as post-independence battles are concerned, the 1947 aggression by Pakistan through Razakars initially, and the way they were resisted, the 62 war, though we had reverses, but the spirit of our soldiers was unchallengeable. The way they fought and they laid down their lives. And thereafter 65 war, 71 war, there are many articles, there are many military history records of these which are available. Of course, Kargil has stayed in the minds of people because in the earlier times the media wasn't so active, but by the time we had Kargil, which was also a very critical battle, and our army and air force did wonderfully well. Well, because of media, all this became exposed.
it came to the
It
public
came
domain.
to the public domain, and then people today proudly they celebrate the Kargil Day. So these are the things which led me to believe that unless we have our borders secure and our national interests secure, we really cannot progress. And that is the reason why I decided to join the armed forces.
So, bringing this statement to the present day, I'm very excited to ask, how do you think this statement suits today? Like, how much have we secured our borders, and considering the internal affection or all the affecting particles of the present day, the internal issues or whatever they are, like riots maybe, or there was an issue which turned out to be anti-nationalistic. Manipur issue was there, so Naxalites are there. So there are many such issues. So what is the stand on that statement on the present day?
You see, Manipur issue I won't like to comment in detail. It's a complex issue and it has an angle of drug production and distribution with the our neighbors across the border also getting involved. Well, that issue will get sorted out. But whatever are the internal troubles, the armed forces have internal security duties which are as important as today the defense against the external aggressions. And as far as armed forces are concerned, now more now than earlier, it's a very complex orchestra where not only the three services have to closely coordinate, and that is the reason why uh, joint commands, inter-services commands are being raised. One is already now, other one data commands. And the complexity of technology, today we have drones, we have missiles, we have satellite coverage. So the armed forces are technologically also getting advanced. And when I joined, the technology had not advanced to that extent. But today, the technological advancements, the requirement of hybrid war, all these having been considered, I think it's a great career for youngsters to get in, whether the person is in engineering field, whether the person is just a graduate or a person is in aviation. It's a good field to join because all these instruments of war, they form a well cohesive orchestra, and that is the requirement of it.
That plays the melody of victory.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because unless that coordination is complete, we cannot achieve what we aim to achieve.
True, true, very true. And so we jumped into, because I was very excited. We jumped into the very crux of the interview. But yes, after you decided to join the armed forces, so can you please tell us or take us through the journey that you went through, the regiment you joined, and why you joined?
You see, I was commissioned into artillery. That is my first choice, and the reason for that being my first choice was while I was going through the training at Indian Military Academy, I realized that it is the artillery that has the maximum firepower, which establishes such fire supremacy on the battlefield that in fact changes the course of the battle. And as some old generals and even the geopoliticians have said, artillery is like the god of the battle. Infantry is the queen of the battle because they are the ones who really hold the ground and convert even defeat into victories. Armored corps, very important, lot of firepower and mobility, and they are the ones who, along with infantry and with artillery fire support, they change the outcome of the battle. And there are many other, like engineers, the signals, communications are very important today, the air defense, the logistics part, as the old adage goes, that army marches on stomach. I mean, what they mean is that logistics are very, very important. Intelligence gathering, because that sets a leader to keep thinking as to what should be my next move. It's like a chess game. It's spy versus spy. So all these have to be orchestrated in all three services. And it's not only the three services. There are other services like BSF, the Assam Rifles. Today we have Rashtriya Rifles, basically oriented towards counter and anti-terrorism actions. But if you really look at the nation as a whole, the combat power has to be managed and that combat power means lot of area covered. Even a farmer, if he can produce good agricultural produce, it helps the economy. The infrastructure development, the movement, the infrastructure development now being done at the border areas in the eastern and northeastern sector, it helps to push in the units of the armed forces. The combat power also includes our R&D, our manufacturing ability. Today we talk about Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Lot of things are now being manufactured within India. So our dependence on the other countries, which used to be earlier, other countries for buying weapon systems, ammunitions and what have you, and even technology, has drastically reduced, and now we can say that in today's world we are fairly good. Our borders are fairly well secured on LOC as well as LAC, and anybody doing any mischief, we are in a position to give befitting reply, such that they will think 100 times before again getting into that mischief mongering.
True, and this development over the years, like you have seen it from a really very long time, from a time where when our army went to fight in a battle that we lost, they didn't have their boots to secure our snow areas or something, and today we are having the highest runways and we are making tunnels and everything. So the advancement that army has done, so it is brilliant, of course. And coming back to the thing, sir, so the artillery, like everybody knows that artillery is the one who fires the shells. A very brief idea. So I would love for you to introduce artillery. What is the role of artillery in battle, and then how is the regiment distributed?
Artillery's role in the battle is to establish such fire supremacy on the battlefield that it promotes progression of our own operations and stopping the operations or interfering effectively with the operations of the enemy. That is the basic role. Now, what does artillery do? Artillery fires at different ranges depending upon the equipment. Their guns in support of own forces and also interfering with enemies' plans. It interdicts, it can destroy bridges, it can destroy railway lines in order to interfere with the enemy's movement. It gives close support to our advancing infantry and armored columns, so that under the cover of our fire, the enemy is kept suppressed and these infantry armored people can close in as much as possible, so that they just have a little bit to go. But that also is a very fierce battle. What they do is tremendous amount of work, real valor, real gallantry, and artillery helps them to reduce their casualties and cause casualties on the enemy to such an extent that the combat power ratio becomes favorable to us. And so artillery is divided into earlier air defense and field artillery were together. Now air defense has been separated out. And the field artillery has field guns and medium guns. They have rockets, they have missile systems, and even they have strategic missiles under their command. And the regiments are unlike the infantry. The regiments are not named as per their caste and creed. They are named by numbers, followed by the type of equipment they have. They take the name like a light regiment, a field regiment, a medium regiment, a rocket regiment, etc. So I was commissioned into 35 light regiment, which within 6 months got converted to a medium regiment. And then recently they have been converted into a field regiment. And I served there. I did my long range staff course at Devali at a very young age, becoming an instructor in gunnery, training my unit personnel, checking the unit's competence as far as the technicalities are concerned. And then later I happened to graduate from Defence Services Staff College at Wellington, earning my MSc in Defence Studies degree. I did my senior command, and then finally I went on to command 138 Medium Regiment. And last day of my service was last day of my command in the regiment, because I sought premature retirement because of some problems at home. I had to come back, and that's the reason why I left. Otherwise, serving in the army was always so close to the heart. It was very difficult to leave and come back to the civil street. But then I thought that okay, now that I am not on active service, at least let me motivate and train and make the youngsters capable so that they will be able to join the armed forces as officers. And that's what I will be doing even today.
Let me take the honor to tell the audience that though he says that he's just motivating or something, but he is very active in when it comes to going to places where there are requirements, where there are some dangerous or emergency situations. He is one of the first helping hands, I'd say, that goes over there, and we'll come to that later in the interview. But yes, so about the regiments as we are talking, so you told about 35 light or medium. So can you please explain the audience that what are their firepowers or what are the ranges, what are they using, shells?
So you see a medium regiment, like my regiment, today 138 medium regiment that I commanded, or 35 medium regiment, they got converted to medium and they were given 130mm machine guns. Now they have a shell that is fired and that travels to the target end, and it has its own destructive power. So roughly a medium shell has 50 meters of radius in which it causes destruction, and the range of that gun was 27.49 kilometers. So they can fire deep into the enemy territory. Similar is the case with different medium regiments. Today we have Bofors gun with 30 kilometers range. Now we have new equipment like Dhanush. It's all in public domain. There is no secret about it. And all these are being designed and manufactured within India. So now we are no more dependent on other countries.
Truly Atmanirbhar.
Truly Atmanirbhar. And then we have drones also. We fly drones for various purposes. Today everybody knows in what all drones are used. And basically the drones are being used for surveillance purpose. And then it has its own connotation of taking actions after the surveillance reveals that something is going amiss, so they can take the corrective actions. They can also drop some essentials to the forward troops.
So, like after this, the medium, there are light, and as you said, the rocket.
Earlier there was a heavy regiment also, but it has been disbanded. It's no more required because now we have enough firepower that we can carry out all types of tasks on the enemy to ensure that enemy is neutralized, destroyed, suppressed, and all that. There are rockets, multi-barrel rocket launchers we have. We have our own indigenized Pinaka rocket system. We had earlier, and even today it's in service, the Russian ones, Grad BM-21, which had 40 tubes. So within no time, it could fire 40 rockets from one launcher. And the normal regiments have 18 guns. These are rocket batteries. But you can imagine one rocket battery of Grad is equivalent to 13 medium regiments firepower if all tubes are fired. So we have that. Then we have platoon missiles today in the artillery itself. So we have such strategic weapons.
Yes, so like, when we talk about the shells or the ammunition that artillery is using, so there are some, this is a very newbie knowledge, a very shallow one. But I have seen that, in especially the knowledge that I have come from the movies I watch. So there are certain shells that go and they explode. There are certain shells that go into the ground.
True. You see, it depends upon what type of fuse you fit in, depending upon what effect you want at the target end. If the target end is such that you want a penetration, then they use a fuse which doesn't explode immediately on hitting the ground. The kinetic energy makes it penetrate and thereafter it explodes, so it has a greater destructive power. Then there are fuses which make the shell burst in the air, a low air burst. The splinters come down, and if the enemy is in the open, then those splinters result into a lot of casualties to the enemy. There are shells where, like a cargo shell of bombs, I'm just giving an example, that it goes and explodes, and there are multiple bomblets that come down, and those bomblets that hit the bunkers or the tanks from top, they penetrate and explode, and the tank is destroyed. And there are anti-personnel bomblets also. So there are some shells which are for illuminating the target area at night.
Like flares.
So yes, like flares. So they burst. That height of that burst is adjusted, and that flare, one shell flare lasts for about a minute or so. Some seconds difference may be there, and it generally covers 600 to 800 meters of radius of illumination. So in that illumination, then other guns can fire, see the targets and destroy it. So such like things are available today, and it's not technological. I mean, all this is taught during long memory staff course. Is the ballistic part, and anyone who attends that course is well conversant with the ballistics. So ballistics is taught in theory and then practiced. So armed forces are such where theory and practice go hand in hand. So any individual's enhancement happens through theory and practice at individual level, and then at collective level through collective training, which is conducted at various levels, maybe at company level, at battalion, regiment level, brigade level, division level, and all that, so that together they all can orchestrate well and get the desired effects.
And this is where many aspirants. I talk about aspirants especially because we have been training them, so maybe you see them. So many of them, they think that the one with brains is who can solve mathematics and is good in physics. I'm talking when it comes to books, okay? But when he goes to the actual field and he's not able to apply that knowledge, so I feel that it is of no use. And army is looking for people who they don't need someone who is extraordinary in studies and field knowledge zero, or they don't need anyone who is extraordinary in field knowledge and academics is zero. They need someone who is balance of them both, who can be trained.
Today, armed forces require all-rounders. They should be fairly good in academics so that they can apply that knowledge, they can acquire new knowledge, and they can apply that knowledge on the field. They require physically and mentally tough and robust officers and men. They require men who can handle equipment very efficiently, and they can also innovate. So there is a creative thinking that goes behind, and so all these officers, the aspirants, must concentrate on their physical fitness, their robustness. So they should play a lot of games, outdoor games. They should go on treks. They should know how to swim well. They should also be good in general awareness as to what's happening around, and they should be good in their uptake to learn all the technologically advanced weapon systems and use them properly. So you require an all-rounder. It's not a lopsided thing that a person is good in academics, and even if he happens to crack the entrance exam, but in the interview he doesn't score well, so he cannot get through. Or somebody who is very poor in academics, he won't cross the first hurdle of the entrance exam itself. So we require all rounders.
Yes. And like your words, like when all this orchestrates, then a officer is made, or he's eligible for training, not officer, because the training is such that your mind is tuned in a way. I don't feel like it can be tuned anywhere else.
Basically, the academies at the time of selection, they want to select those who could be cultivated, nurtured into leadership. So they are looking for potential leaders, and in the academy, the basic leadership qualities are imbibed into them. Basic knowledge is imbibed, and once they get into their units, the battalions and regiments, then they get further training through many courses and day-to-day activities in the regiments and the battalions, and they hone their skills. That's how it happens.
And on this platform, let me break a myth, a very big myth that even I had at a point of time, that चलो 12th तक पढ़ाई करनी है and उसके बाद we'll go to army or the services, then पढ़ाई का कोई टेंशन ही नहीं है. But when you get into the army and everything, then you understand, no, it was better outside. You did your masters, your education was going to stop or something. If you are very excited, you can opt for PhD. But army is a place where for every day of your life, you will be learning something, you will be studying something, you will be learning how to apply it. So this
one learning is the ground experience during your day-to-day interventions. But Field Marshal William Smith, Field Marshal Slim, the Second World War vintage commander who led Indian Army to Burma, he made a statement. He says, preparation for battle is a very costly and time-consuming process. But one thing that doesn't cost much is the study. So an officer is a permanent student also. You have to keep studying. There are so many things, the levels keep on increasing, degrees of difficulties keep on increasing, and so you got to keep on studying. So there are a lot of courses that are conducted in the armed forces, and the gradings in the courses matter a lot as far as your promotions are concerned, and the courses that you do, your qualifications also help in posting the headquarters of the armed forces to post their officers at particular places so that they can take up the responsibilities as per their knowledge gained during the process. So it's a continuous process.
And with this, there is if we're specific about artillery, so with years of all this service, there are many technologies that are coming up. You have to be in coordination with the research team, especially when you get to the higher ranks. So you are the one coordinating with what is happening in the research and development. What is okay? I have this weapon, but you need to know what the enemy or the other side of the border is having. So, like you said, exactly the preparation or the study takes time. Exactly, this reminds me of Sam Shaw, because as we know that Prime Minister asked him to that I want a war, but he was like, Madam, I need time, because if you want to win the war,
Right.
and you just made the statement, Field Marshal Slim, he made the statement. I guess the application was seen when Field Marshal Sam Shaw won the battle, along with, of course, the troops, and 90,000 soldiers surrendering. So,
True. You see, many a times people ask a question, that what do these forces do during peacetime when there is no war? I would like to say that during peacetime they are sharpening their blades so that during war, when the time comes for them to hit, they can hit and cut clean. That sharpening has to be done continuously on daily basis throughout the service. And the systems of training and enhancement have been set in the armed forces in such a manner that at every service level there are different courses for officers to learn more, go back and apply that knowledge in their units, and that happens regularly.
And that is a necessity. And this brings me to a question that, along with this, what the officers or what is the army doing in the peace thing? So, along with this, a big question is that, now are the days, as many of we talk or say that we hear this, that the end of conventional war, or they say that there won't be any conventional war after this. There will be cyber wars or bio wars and all these things. But the conventional wars are getting outdated. But when we see it outside today in Israel, Hamas, Russia, Ukraine, still it's the man behind the gun, and still is it true or is it apt to say that conventional wars are going to be outdated?
I won't say that the conventional wars will be outdated ever. Only their nature of warfare may change. The old-time tactics may give way to new type of tactics based on the technologically advanced weapon systems that we have and the methods in which they can apply those weapon systems on the field, on the battlefield. And so, while technology, of course, is very important, you have drones, you have various other means of destroying the enemy, but those notwithstanding, the conventional warfare will never get totally outdated. It will stay. In fact, it will get enhanced with new weapon systems and methods. And man behind the machine has always been the most important factor, and that is one thing that I must mention, that Indian Armed Forces are excellent as far as their manpower management is concerned. Keeping up the standards of their soldiers and officers is concerned, because that man makes all the difference. Like in the earlier times, we used to talk about guerrilla warfare and various other such like operations, even clandestine operations. It is always the man who makes all the difference. Two different countries having the same weapon systems, but if the man behind their machines are different, the outcomes will be different.
Yes, and this brings me to, I saw an interview of Major Vivek Jacob, and he made a statement that I guess there was some military exercise where there is now a big comparison of special forces. So there were the US Navy SEALs and everything. They came in India, and all they were doing, they were coming with heavy guns and all advanced technologies and everything. And our SF was standing over there. And when the exercise started, there was no aspect where the Indians left them a chance to win or anything. There were cargo planes bringing them mineral waters and everything, and our men were surviving on basic needs are also, I'll say, luxury for them, but they are done or they are trained to survive in such situations. Along with that, as you said, like many countries or Russia or US, they know what technology they have or how advanced technology they have. But it is Indians, or we have the right word, jugaad, that is fit in any person who goes under military training. So he knows what jugaad can be done to improve the machine that I have.
So absolutely, Indian armed forces are very good in innovating. With whatever they have, they innovate and take the maximum benefit out of the capabilities of those machines or weapon systems. And one thing I must mention here, notwithstanding all the technological advancements that the other countries have, yet the standard of Indian soldiering has been absolutely phenomenally outstanding. And not now, right from 1947 onwards, we have been observing this, and their standard was even outstanding even during the First and Second World War.
Let me take this back. Like Maratha Empire, when we talk about Maratha Empire, although this Mughals and everyone, they had big forces, they outnumbered everyone and everything. But when they were coming southwards, or like we were talking about Alexander. So this goes back into history then. That when they are coming downwards, Indians, or we have strategical mind. We are not people who stupidly will jump with a sword or any gun. We make strategies, and we are not here to like there are stories where there were squares kept in the empires that were outside. So they had a mindset that okay, this many men are going to be my collateral damage. This is the minimum number that are going to die for sure. But we as Indians, we are like zero casualty operations, like Uri surgical strike, or even before that. So that is kind of warfare that has been coming from the Indian history.
Absolutely, absolutely true. We value our men, we value our manpower, and we always try to minimize the casualties to our men. So, extracting the maximum with minimum losses has always been our principle, and we stand true to that.
Yes, and this particular thing requires maximum planning. Like
Yes.
like you said about surveillance and everything. So even today, people don't. And drones. When we talk about drones, only that they have seen. Like, I know this is a bit fictionalized to interest the audience or something. But when they see that there's some bird-like robot who's flying and who's doing surveillance and everything. So, but in reality, the Uri that happened didn't happen like that. The men went on Reiki. They were sitting over there. So all this intelligence gathering and everything, and all the planning. So when this comes together and orchestrates, as we talk.
Extensive preparation goes in,
Yes.
and double quick time.
Yes.
We don't waste time on preparations, and that is the reason why continuous training during peacetime is conducted, so that helps us to put our plans in place in double quick time and make the preparations so that we can undertake any operations at shortest possible time. That's all.
Yes, and again we'll go a little back to the history because it is really very interesting, because we had a word about it earlier too. So, like today, when we see outside, when there were interviews of big, I'll say, who were supreme leaders of army, navy, or other forces in abroad India, or outside countries, the supreme military leaders, when they were asked, so even they made the statements that they have been studying the guerrilla warfare that was practiced in India, or every war. I feel the way we have used our geography, our history, and everything, and how is that influencing the present day warfare? And with this, I'll ask this is very interesting question that today in present day, who's the actual risk of India? Like who is the possible enemy of India in present?
Right. First question first. Yes. Going back to Maharana Pratap and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, they were the masters of guerrilla warfare. Maharana Pratap had a different terrain in which he operated, and Shivaji Maharaj had a different terrain. And Shivaji Maharaj conducted his guerrilla operations with such finesse, showering surprise and total destruction to the enemy on the way. And there are n number of such battles. And we have incorporated guerrilla warfare into our training also, because we have mountainous and jungle terrains in our northern and eastern parts. And so operating through jungles, be it anti-terrorist operations or be it conventional operations against a known foreign enemy, these guerrilla tactics come very handy. And as far as the enemies are concerned, look, in today's geopolitics, they say there is no permanent friend and there is no permanent enemy.
It's only interest.
It's only permanent national interest that we have to uphold. And so we have to be careful about anyone. As far as our neighbors are concerned, Pakistan, their views are well known, and China, their mischiefs are also well known. It is possible that we may have to in future fight two-front war, and it might grow to a three-front war. Navy will also come into play, not only the land and air force. So we got to be prepared for that, and as I said, the man behind the machine is always important. So the youth of the present era should also think of national interest and to ensure that they will be safe only if the nation is safe. Otherwise, their all technical knowledge and whatever good money that they earn from corporates will be of no use if those corporates don't survive. So for them to survive, joining and strengthening the armed forces is highly important. The right people must join in.
Right. And with this, like when the youth is learning all this, and like we don't understand where each and every country stands. Like Pakistan, when we talk about Pakistan today, so in my opinion, or as much I have studied about this particular topic, Pakistan itself, although it is getting from the funding from its big daddies, as we say, so although it is getting big funding and everything, but still, they really have the capacity to lead a full-fledged war against India?
My view is that they don't have that capacity, and they very well know it.
Yeah.
And whatever that funding that they get is minuscule as compared to their requirement for stabilizing their nation internally.
Yes.
They have mishandled their nation, and that is the reason why they are in the state in which they are today. So, they cannot withstand a full-fledged war, not beyond a few days. Right?
Like people don't understand this. Like when we are talking about Pakistan, the actual condition over there is that the citizens are in a poor, miserable
Yeah, they are in
condition.
a bad condition.
Yeah.
And later we talk about Pakistan. The hatred is because it's a very vulnerable nation state,
True.
right? With a lot of internal problems, and one doesn't know whether they will disintegrate, not disintegrate, whether their nuclear weapons will fall into somebody else's wrong hands. We still do not know about it. We cannot predict as to what will happen. But one thing that we can predict is that anything is possible
Yeah.
in that country.
Pakistan happens to be like a troubled child today.
It is a trouble state, yes.
Yes, and about after that, like our neighbors, like coming to China. China is all about right now we are talking
We
about.
are getting into geopolitics. China has present problems. China's economy is strong. It is the second largest economy. But China is presently having some problems. We are just watching as to what happens, whether they come out of it or there is a political turmoil and a shift of power. We don't know. Anybody's guess, but they have a problem presently. Their influence is reducing at a great speed, though they are still powerful.
And with this, like China's policy has always been about border expansion. So they are in Sri Lanka.
As far as their expansion into India is concerned, no, they have learned their lesson. They will be hit back. They will be hit back so badly. So they are not in a position to do that anymore. Yeah, their geopolitical influence through economic overtures, be it in Sri Lanka, be it in African countries, that will go on. That, of course, they are most welcome to do it, any country will do it.
And along with this, even Afghanistan, we talk about it because everything that happened right now a few months or years back. So, how is it going to influence India in present day or in future of war?
You see, if you have read the news, Afghanistan has closed their embassy in Delhi. Now, Afghanistan's internal problems are very severe. though India had sent huge consignment of food grains, yet out of 4 crores of population, 2.8 crores of Afghan population is still suffering from hunger, and of which half of them don't have even enough food to eat once a day. Now their socio-cultural aspects are such that there are a lot of restrictions. Now Afghanistan is now anti-Pakistan. TTP is undertaking attacks in Pakistan. How that will pan out remains to be seen. But Afghanistan, not recognized by most of the countries of the world, not even by UN, because they don't recognize Taliban regime, and so haven't we recognized. So that is going to affect Afghanistan in a big way as far as their generation of economy is concerned. Their GDP is going to be low, their poverty levels are going to be very high. So the development is a big problem in Afghanistan.
So, when we talk about this, except for India, the Southeast Asia seems
Turbulent area, Southeast Asia.
So,
Let's see what happens.
so is it an opportunity for India, because maybe still Southeast Asia remains to be a very key factor when it comes to trading and everything.
You see, as far as the land mass is concerned, India never had the dream of grabbing somebody else's land. As far as opportunities are concerned, maybe India's help given to these countries may result into closer interactions, but with other players also trying to insert their influence. This is a geopolitical game where things may go left and right. There is a flip-flop possible. So India must play her cards absolutely properly, the geopolitical cards properly. And as they say, we would like to help people to whatever extent that we can, and they should then acknowledge that and also respond favorably. That's our hope. Let's see.
Yeah, and India has always been, like, to our friends, we have never, exploited them or.
We don't intend also.
Yeah.
Why exploit? Why exploit? That doesn't augur well in the longer run also. It may show some short-term benefits, but in the longer run it might not.
And this on an international platform, like I feel decades back when we read reports, or not even decades, like a few years back, there were a large number of countries that were having a very wrong idea about India. But
Not now. Their
Yeah.
ideas have been changed. India's position in the world geopolitics has improved a lot.
yes,
Improved a lot because of our policies and because of our actions, and we have boosted up our economy, and that is going to get boosted further, and it will improve India's capabilities further to help out and bail out others, like we tried to bail out Sri Lanka by giving them aid.
even COVID vaccines.
Even COVID vaccines.
And like in present day, like India earlier days, on an international platform, there was an image like India is a troubled state, or a state of poverty or something. But today, when you ask all these foreigners of what they view India as today, or what is their idea, so it is like India is the present rocket of the nation.
Yes, lot of changes have taken place in their perceptions because of our standing today. Economy, the way we help out people. You see, though Turkey was not very friendly with us, but when there was an earthquake in Turkey, India was the first one to send the disaster management, the India force to help them out, and they did really well. And then Turkey had to admit that India is our friend. Right? So that is another area, disaster management, where India is doing well.
And so coming back a little on track, so a little about your experiences when you were serving, some stories or some incidents that you like to share?
Not really. I would like to share those incidences because that won't augur well as far as the interview is concerned. But yes, I was a very contented and very happy person to serve in the army. I had not a single day's regret because I did exactly what was and maybe more beyond the expectations. And so I was fully satisfied. There is no doubt about that.
And as we talk to officers, I haven't met a single man or any single person who was happy hanging his uniform. Everybody, I see that heartbreak in their eyes.
Yeah, even I was not very happy. I felt as if I was being torn apart. But that was my own doings. Nobody told me to hang my boots. But internally, I was being torn apart. And for 6 months, I didn't know what exactly to do. And suddenly, one day it flashed that look, I can help the country by sending the right youngsters to the armed forces. And that is the reason why since 1999, I have been training the youngsters, and more than 250 have already succeeded in their donning the uniform proudly. And all those students of mine are still in my contact.
Yes.
Whenever they come to Pune, they meet me. And
Yes. Along with this, right now you will be seeing commendation letters or the stories, short brief stories of the martyred soldiers who were trained by Sir and his students who went ahead and who laid their life for the country, for the security of country. And yeah, you please pause.
yeah, I have 3 of my students who were martyred in the line of duty. The first one was Mandar Gokul. He was a captain, then Captain Mandar Gokul. Second one was Kunal Gosavi, Major Kunal Gosavi. He was martyred during Nagrota terrorist attack while he was saving the families. And the third one was Major Kaustubh Rane, who was in Ara. Kunal Gosavi got Shaurya Chakra and Kaustubh Rane got Sena Medal Bar. He also laid down his life.
So can you please explain what is the bar to the audience?
Bar means you get Sena Medal once, then you get any such decoration second time, then you say bar to that earlier one. Bar means a repeat. That is the bar.
So when as I tell this to or we tell this to the audience, this makes a statement that a person's or an officer's story is not ended when he hangs the uniform, or else I'll say it is a shift of service, as you said. That, just the instruments of service are changing, or the way of servicing the nation is changing. So with this, sir, we come to the topic that was much awaited about the present day, the guidance mentorship you are doing to the students, and along with that, after that we'll move to the disaster management, your role in it.
You see, basically, during my service, I was observing the officers, JCOs, and Jawans who were serving with me. One thing that I concluded from all this was deduced was that personal capability matters. And what is this capability? Is it the academic capability? No. So I researched and I came to a conclusion that there are 46 fundamental capabilities which we need to inculcate and improve, and there are 6-7 more advanced capabilities. Just to give an example, concentration. Nobody really teaches concentration in the schools or at home. How to improve the concentration, because only when you concentrate that whatever you read or see that you can absorb, then how to increase your comprehension of whatever inputs that you receive. Nobody teaches how to sharpen memory. I mean, students are generally into by-hearting and then vomiting out in the exam. But I am not talking about that memory. Memory with logic and then recalling it at the right time. Likewise, and these are not taught formally, there are 46 such fundamental ones.
Okay.
So, when I started training these youngsters, I said apart from the SSB, I need to give them this training so that even if they don't get through into the armed forces, these fundamental enhancements will help them in any service wherever they go. And then later, I, along with two more colleagues of mine, we started Intel Systems and Solutions Private Limited. The basic philosophy is to inculcate such like enhancements in the school children and college children. So we take our model to the schools where the teachers maybe 3 periods a week they may get into in schools handicrafts and painting is more or less called as creativity, but we teach finding creative solutions to the problems. I mean, we say that okay, Shivaji Maharaj escaped from Agra. It was his creative solution that made him escape from Agra. His raid on Shaiste Khan at Lal Mahal, Pune. It was a creative plan, a solution which made Shaiste Khan withdraw from Pune. He just left Pune. Now, such like creative solutions have to be found even in day-to-day life, and we inculcate that into the students. So this is our effort, and let's see how long we do it. As long as the organization is here, we will keep doing it. Then the second thing that you mentioned was disaster management. It was in 1999 that another friend of mine who was in civil defense and who had also hung his boots early, we met accidentally on Lakshmi Road, Pune. And those days, there were a lot of disasters taking place. And one line solution was called the armed forces for anything. We said, but finally a common man is a sufferer. So let's start an organization, an NGO, where we train and strengthen the common man to withstand the disasters. Firstly to prevent, and if it happens then minimize the losses and then come out of it. So we founded an NGO, Disaster Management and Research Foundation. And our first major insertion was when tsunami occurred. We of course started this, we wrote a detailed constitution of the organization and registered it finally in 2003. And our first insertion was when tsunami happened, and so we went and looked after 500 plus homeless guys whose houses had been washed away for 3 months. And when the district collector arranged their alternative accommodation, they were shifted. But till then we were giving them shelter, all essentials, and free meals, etc. And thereafter we inserted ourselves for a landslide in Raigad district, and also floods in Raigad district. And thereafter another landslide where the district administration requested us to dispose of the dead bodies because there was nobody coming forward. The relatives of those dead people said, yes, he is so and so my relative, but I am not going to touch his dead body because it's all stinking. So our volunteers helped in cremating those dead bodies. Then when floods took place in Sangli, Kolhapur, floods took place in Assam, we sent the relief material from there. In Kolhapur, Sangli, I myself led the team of 40 odd volunteers, and we went to villages and gave them the relief material and did some rescue also. This year, Yavatmal was having a problem, so we sent our team to distribute relief material. Though our organization is small, I wish it was big and we had big money so that we could fulfill the needs of the needy. So this is what we are doing. We are also training our volunteers in various aspects of disaster management, like rescue, first aid, right, establishment of camp, relief material, firefighting, etc. And we also go to the housing societies to educate the members of the housing societies as to how to make the housing society safe. So this goes on, but as they say, the baton must pass on to the next generation. So last year I handed over my baton as the president of the organization to my next generation of students. So they are handling it. I am sitting as an advisor, just guiding them wherever they require.
Yes, and I feel having the advisor as that is really important. And apart from that, as you said, that the organization happens to be small. I feel even small, but where there is a right need or where the purpose is right,
Yes.
the impact made is very big, even with the small.
Yes, yes, it is.
It's just like the butterfly effect, as we say.
Yes.
So, first of all the best for that future of that and mentorship of your students too.
Thank you. Thanks a lot to you.
And
And best of luck to all the viewers. They must do well in life.
yes, I hope they do. And with this, I would love for you to talk a little about your books that you published, or we were talking about a course. So, please introduce them.
You see, when I came back from tsunami with ground experience, a publisher, Diamond Publications owner, Mr. Dattatreya Paste, through somebody he approached me. And he said, with your experience, why don't you write a book? I had never done that in my life. So I said, I don't know how to write a book. He says, don't worry, you just write your experience, we will get the book organized. And I wrote that book, sat day and night, and I scripted that book in record 1 month's time. And I gave it to him, and that was his publication's 25th publication, Silver Jubilee publication. Thereafter, I wrote another book on disaster management for school children, for them to understand in a simple manner. And then I wrote on human development, which is my second passion. And that book is titled The Heads Within, the Tails Within. That when we toss the coin of our fortune, irrespective of whether it is heads and tails, we should develop ourselves to such an extent that come what may, we win. So that is the essence of that book. And then after I finished my PhD under Dr. Srikant Paranspe, a very able teacher and an excellent guide. Thereafter I wrote a book on Afghanistan, the failed state. And I have just completed scripting another book that should be out in another 2.5 3 months' time. And all these books have Marathi and English version. They are available on Amazon.in or with Diamond Publications Pune. And after sending that book to the publisher, I am into writing the next book. So the process is on, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
They put the pen in your hand and now.
Yeah, I thank Mr. Paste that I had never realized that I have that potential, but thanks to him that he inserted that thought into my mind and I am going with it.
Very true, sir. And with this, there was a course that we talked about. So,
yes, the youngsters can join the course. It's a 2 days basic course that we conduct at Vadgaon. And we require about 10-15 people at a time. And so we generally promote that they stay put, the course attendees stay put at Vadgaon. They are all khana pina, everything is taken care of. And the second day after finishing the course, they go back. And then we recommend to them that please use this even in your individual capacity. Right? So, some of them have been using even in individual capacity.
Yes, sir. Along with that course, we also talked about the geopolitics course that you are educating the youngsters or everyone who joins it about what is the true face of geopolitics. Or it is a huge subject; it can't be covered in a one day's go. So please, even
True. You see, generally the observation is that we Indians get our feed from the media, and that media may be biased, or whatever messages are given on WhatsApp about this country and that country. But to know the real geopolitics, I decided to conduct an online course as a first trial course last year. The name of that course was Geopolitics, National Security and International Relations. And high profile people came and delivered the lectures. I was just one of the lecturers, like Dr. Shrikant Karasmi, who is a scholar who keeps going even abroad and giving lectures. Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, whom you have interviewed, General Mandeep Singh, Major General Alok Dev. So we all conducted about 55 lectures every Saturday, Sunday lectures. This year I didn't go in for, but once we move into the next academic year, maybe in June, I am planning to restart the course again with different aspects covered, because the world is moving so fast, so many things are happening. So people don't want to know about the old things, but people want to know about the new things. So all that will be discussed. I'll be framing that course and I'll be starting that course sometimes in June. It will be announced.
yes.
Online course.
So along with that, you will find the link in description. We'll make a Google Forms and you can feed your data and your details, which will be sent to him. So he'll get an idea of the interested members and your inquiry will go to him. So
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So sir, coming towards the end, so I'm not really happy that this is coming to an end, and I hope we get to make a part two of all this huge discussion. That is, some got discussed and some got left out, but it gets covered. Yeah. And so sir, our last question in general to any person or any officer that we interview is, as a crux, all the experience that humongous experience that you have had in your life and all the different aspects that one might not even get to experience. So from that, what would be the message or a giveaway from your side to the young generation?
You see, I have been molded in Chetwoodian motto, where it says that the nation comes first, the people who you command come next, and your own self comes last and always and everywhere. So my message is, keep this in mind, that nation first, your tasks, your colleagues, the society comes next, and we come the last. Then for that to happen, improve your personal capabilities. Decide on purpose of life, because without purpose, the life becomes purposeless, and then there is no point. One may become an engineer, doctor, or whatever professional, but the life as such has no purpose except for earning money and living well. There is no other purpose. So generally, people get restricted within the ambition part, but people must have the right purpose of life, the right dreams, and then draw the right ambitions, and then go ahead. And last but not the least, character is the most important thing. Have the character correct. If your character is correct, you won't do anything wrong. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. That was a wonderful interview. We had an amazing talk.
I hope you enjoyed.
Yes, there was a lot to learn, and yes, we hope we get to meet you soon. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So yes, that was Colonel Pramodan Marathe. The man as he talks, the topics that we talked about, everything, and now we are left with tremendous amount of knowledge to gain and learn. With this video, we leave a ton of the links that you can visit. These are about his NGO, about his courses, about his classes. You can contact him, and along with that, we take your goodbyes and we hope you like the video. Please leave your comments and let us know about your views. Please subscribe the channel for the more upcoming videos. Stay tuned. Goodbye. Jai Hind.